there, YouTubers, and good morning to all YouTubers as well. It's kind of morning over here, but welcome to my channel. And for today's segment, we're gonna be talking about One Piece, chapter 825, the We Times comic strip. Now, in this chapter, I would say this chapter was actually it had a lot of fairly comical humor, but in this chapter, if you guys read it carefully, this chapter had a lot of, I would say, like very so many references to so many movies. Like after a while, you guys start like noticing Oda just likes to keep making references throughout this whole entire chapter, and that's why, like, it's kind of like a red herring kind of game going on there. You're reading this chapter, you're like, oh, he's referencing this movie and this movie such and such, but uh, I'm not gonna say anything right now, but I'll say it later to the video, or actually, better yet, I'll say it right now. Well, and the first scene, it first starts off with Sanji actually talking to Vito, and Vito is actually talking about, it was the Germa 66, and Sanji's like mafia style, like huge family, and you're wondering like, oh, this seems pretty interesting, but Vito's actually talking about like an old story where the Gemma 66 is actually the main villains against the Marines, and you're here wondering like, oh, like you're here surprised that, wow, that the Gemma 66 is actually there are you could speculate that the Gemma 66 is actually a huge ass army that they're able to go against the Marines. That's how that's how frightening they are, that they're actually able to use it, and Vito actually mentions it more like a children's story as well when he was talking to Sanji while they were entering the Whole Cake Island. And you actually see as well that, I'm sorry for repeating myself, that you see that because it's all within one like single page. The hero Sora was like mentioned as like a super strong person that can walk on water, and you're like, wow. And Vito mentions it like it's a propaganda game, that in order to entice all these young children to join the Marines, to say that that justice will always prevail, you know and that's pretty cool, right there, that like that how Oda actually uses that right there in his own advantage. Like, what, this in One Piece is actually a world where it's using its political powers to actually manipulate such people in order to gain what they want, and as such, the Marines. Now, see, in One Piece, we're starting to see that the Marines are also considered an enemy as well. They're not even close now being considered, I would say, friends, or in terms companions now. The way that Vito now kind of describes it, like, wow, that the political games that they're actually spewing out for the young generation right there. And we see that the Gurma 66 is now also just a main villain. But it's kind of ironic that they actually didn't mention the Gurma 66 in the earlier chapters of the entire One Piece universe, because if they use that as a political propaganda, you're just wondering like, why wasn't this mentioned like in any time throughout the whole entire One Piece universe, which I found it pretty ironic while reading that. But moving on, that's just my like speculation right there. That, wow, either Oda's messing up, or he's just putting things out of a hat right now, just right there. But moving on, like I said before, he actually now is incorporating some Alice in Wonderland kind of ideas now. While Vito was mentioning that Gamma 66 story to Sanji while they're walking, you literally see these white knights like just walking by very robotically, and you actually later see Sanji open a door that reminds you of the door from Alice in Wonderland, which is actually pretty interesting right there, because you're like, oh snap, it's like a Mafia Dawn entire crewmate members for Big Moms, but their homeland is like an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. This is like, it kind of contradicts their theme, Like when you think of Alice in Wonderland, you think of just like, tripping out, not, I wouldn't say supernatural, but I would say more as in like adventurous, uh, wilderness. It's just you just when you think of Big Mom, you don't think of that. You think of a strong, rigid, society. They stick to the traditional roots. While when you think of Alice in Wonderland, it's being abstract. That's the only thing I can think of that could be perfect for Alice in Wonderland. It's just being abstract. It's being disoriental. It's being spontaneous. That's what I think when you think of Alice in Wonderland. And but when Oda's using this, like that kind of goes along the same. Maybe it says something about her crewmates as well. That the Big Mom pirates are actually that they're able to thrive in that kind of environment. This is what I'm speculating right here, that they're able to thrive in this kind of environment. That would be pretty intense. Like there's got to be more than meets that for Big Mom pirates right now. And I love how Oda is now like giving those little subtle hints about that Alice in Wonderland, which is I found it pretty funny though. And by the way, the door talks too. Just for all of you guys are like, oh, if you guys are wondering if the door talks. But next, we also see that also Sanji is actually being treated as a prince while he's actually walking with Vito down the road. And the reason I say is because when Sanji is walking with Vito, Vito is actually looking up to this guy. He's looking up to Sanji. I'm sorry. He's looking at Sanji like he's like a big ass like war veteran or something, but because he looks up to him as, since for the Gamma 66, he sees Sanji like a role model. They're like, oh, I can't believe I'm meeting you like face to face, and that's what Vito's just like constantly just like chatting up. It's just like it's almost like he wants to say, let me get your autograph, man. Like you're just so cool. He's like a child, like he's just a child that's like is the like starstruck that he's actually meeting a Gamma 66 member, you could say. And the reason I say Garma 66 is because Sanji knows that they're full of shit. Sorry for cursing, but Sanji just knows that, and that's what I find funny. And he's just like, man, like calm down, little kid. And it's funny also throughout the chapter that Loki that you actually see as well is that Caesar actually pops up again. Caesar pops up, and he comments on the fact that like, why am I being locked up in the cage while Sanji is being treated like a prince, and and they just tell him shut up, like they just tell Caesar to shut up, our orders are just to capture and imprison you, not, and then that's about it, and I found that kind of funny. It's like, wow, these guys mean business. They spawn literally directly from Big Mom, word for word for eyes, and that's how Big Mom is actually very fearful. And then, throughout the entire chapter, it's kind of focused on the fact also the fire tank pirates are also they're also abstract in their own, so they all got their quirky natures in it as well. There's another fire tank pirate that was introduced, and his name was Goatee the Killer. And while Sanji was talking to Vito, like he's like Vito's like looking up to Sanji throughout the whole entire like conversation. Sanji just bad mouthing Vito, just like, oh shut up, dude, like, yeah, just whatever, I don't care what you're talking about, like it's just like he's condescending him, you could say, throughout the whole entire conversation. And then Goatee just comes to him and says, hey man, why are you bad mouthing my higher up, you got something to say it to me. They're just constantly kind of like bickering back and forth. But Sanji kind of wants to start a fight, because he knows that he's valuable. So you can see that like that Sanji just wants to just start already, just start to mess things up. And, it's like, wow, like that conversation it just escalated that quickly. But you can tell Vito is actually, he really is living up to his role as like the mafia's counselor or guidance person, because he's actually telling them that, oh no, it's cool, man, we're just having a chat, we're just having some fun over here, having that like mafia-esque like mentality right there, but maybe like Vito is also like he's probably like keeping track of Sanji as well at the same time, like he's not just probably looking at Sanji without just both eyes, away from the focus task. That's Vito's actually he's actually a trained professional right there. But later on, we actually see a surprise guest. Yes, I didn't think we were actually gonna meet this character, but I don't know if you guys remember Lola from the Thriller Bark saga. Yes, Lola was introduced now back here again, and that kind of says something along the line there that like, holy snap, she's either here for comedic purposes or for something else. Remember, Lola was a huge important character also back in Thriller Bark Arga, that Thriller Bark saga. So you know for sure she's gonna have a big important, you could say like a importance to Sanji in throughout this part, and she's also Nami's friend. So that's how you can tell like maybe that something might happen, that she might help Nami, because I remember Nami's still coming towards Whole Cake Island, so that says something right there. And plus she has power within Big Mom, so that's how you know that Luffy's crew could be like saved right there. And that's what I like. So like that Oda's introducing all these characters slowly, just so that he can set the stage right there. You you have to read this chapter like very carefully, like every single time, because Oda just likes to give small hints throughout each entire chapters right there. But then like also continuing on from the story, like while still reading, you're just still shocked at like all this information that's coming in. The all the seriousness, you could say, kind of shifted all the way down to the comics. It started off very seriousness, then it kind of led on to being more very like comedic and spoof, you could say, because Luffy's crew was now actually they're, how do I say, on the verge of dying, you could say. They're actually dying, and I find it funny because thanks to Luffy's shenanigans that he pulled off in the last couple of chapters, making the whole crewmate suffer just because he doesn't know how to cook, you know, you kind of laugh at the fact that now everybody has to actually fish for food out in the whole entire ocean, and you're here thinking like, oh, maybe it's just a calm belt or something, but the thing is that how Oda likes to give little surprises each and every chapter right there. No, the sea is actually boiling hot. It's so hot that it doesn't look like they're able to catch any kind of fish at all. And I kind of found that funny as well. It's like, wow, these guys are actually like kind of down. But to be honest, this humorous scene was meant more to make them weak. Because imagine if they were coming at the island at full strength, they would really like wreck things up. But I feel like Oda actually just did this kind of scene right here, just so that Luffy doesn't seem too overpowered. Cause think about it, Luffy took down Dom Flamingo. So can you just imagine it like him coming at their full strength? He would kind of like wreck the place up. So that they kind of, I see what they're kind of doing right here is to kind of downplay Luffy right now, just for the moment right now, just to make them seem like they're kind of weak right now, and that's good for storytelling wise. And the reason I'm also saying that Luffy's weak right now is because throughout the little humorous content that Oda was kind of portraying right there, you know, Luffy catches a fish. Yeah, he actually does catch a fish in this chapter. He takes out a fish, pulls it out, but it was a poisonous fish, and Luffy starts eating it. But because if you guys remember back then, it was in Impel Down. You know how Luffy has an affinity to poison. He gets knocked out. He's not dead. He technically was supposed to die because Chopper actually stated the fact that the poison was so high that like it causes instant death. But because of Luffy's affinity to poison, he's actually still alive. And you're still wondering that the fact that that Luffy is becoming an OP character now. He's immune to poison. That says Luffy. I just thought of something. Holy snap! What if the Germa 66 actually uses poisonous weapons? It would be impossible to take down Luffy now. Now that is interesting. I see now. I love how Oda see that. This is just an idea right now. But imagine that Luffy is now immune to poison, and and these assassins use poison to take down their enemies. Maybe that's why they're kind of like famous. We don't know that for sure, but think about it. Now Luffy's now might be seen like a great threat now, thanks to his overwhelming poisonous affinity, and that's intense right there. See, but right now at this moment, Luffy is actually he's just seen as the weak character. That's all it is right now, because of circumstances right there. But you know throughout the chapter, then it continues on. You kind of see that. I would say they start showing some underwater denden mushins, you could say, or like sea snails. and they're like they have like tracking sensors, you know, and you know the whole Cake Island is now like legitimately a fortress. You see this little fun charade that like that whole Cake Island looks like now. It kind of switches off to like holy snap, you know, like it's actually now a fortified fortress without even knowing. And Peckham's even kind of stated that too, like oh you know they already know that we're already here. Yeah, you guys should be a little bit more worried, and you're just wondering like holy snap, like Big Mom is just that she doesn't play around. I can see why she's actually a Yonko. And at the last page of the entire chapter, this is what we get. We actually get freaking Germa 66 to actually finally appear. Yes, Germa 66 actually appears, and now you actually look at the fact that Germa 66 actually appears now as like a very enticing character. Now we don't know what their capabilities are, but so far it Oda gave like a shadowy presence when they came in, right when the sensors were like just being ticked off one by one, and it looked like a Sanji lookalike. Now when I this is my opinion. When I saw it, to me, it literally looked like it could be Sanji because these events that are transpiring are a couple days after Sanji already landed at Hokikaru. So that and to me it looked like Sanji. To me, it literally looked like Sanji actually rolled down his glasses and was just looking at them and said, "This is we know it's the Straw Hat Pirates." You know, and then like he just lowers his glasses a little bit and just looks down upon the ship. And I'm just like, holy snap! Like maybe Sanji is like you know like he just turned tail and you know he's trying to keep his own charade right there. That's what I'm personally thinking. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this chapter. You know, what do you guys think about the last page about the Gurma 66? What do you guys think of the whole Kick Island? Do you guys love how the little Alice in Wonderland kind of situation is going on right there? Oh, and let me know what you guys think about the story that Vito was telling. Do you guys think that story was legit, or do you guys think that story was just a like just like a little folk tale or propaganda scene that I would say like, or let me rephrase it. I would say it's more like not a children's fairy tale, but you guys think it really is like there's more meaning to that story. Like there could be an actual Sora being alive that could walk on water, you know, because that could be the case. But this was a very intense chapter. There. Now we're kind of hoping on to go to the next chapter and hope to see that who at the Gamer 66 are going to do now. But this is Mr. Zen signing out.